It's the MOT day for the Thunderbird today. I've done a couple of things to get her ready, like putting the yellow number plate back on and putting a little number plate light in place, because those two things have been changed. Obviously I've got the black and the silver number plate, which it can't really have yet for another 10 years, I don't think. The little number plate light, that's just something I screw onto the bottom to get it through the MOT. I'm going to get up there now. I'm also going to show you the place that I go to get my MOTs done. It's called Victor Motorcycles here in Bristol, and it is just the coolest old school motorcycle mechanics, and I love it. Every time I go in there I think to myself, I definitely chose the wrong career. I should be working in a place like this. I'll give you a little show around there so you can go ahead and book your motorcycle in there too, because it's a great place with some awesome people. Getting the bike out of my backyard. This is like the one deterrent. Like, who's going to try and nick this bike? Like, by the time they've got it to this gate, they'll be thinking, well, how do we get it out of here? And then they'll be like, oh great, we got it through. Like half an hour later, only to realise that they maybe didn't quite get it all the way through, if you know what I mean, because then they got to tackle this bit. Now I'm guessing that from about here I'm gonna have to take this top brick off, which I'm quite happy about doing. Victor Motorcycles, like I said, this place is just like your little treasure trove of old school mechanical beauty. I'd like to work here. In fact, I would work here for under minimum wage, just to be surrounded by motorcycles, old school workshop. This would be the dream for me. And what a beautiful day it is as well. It's the kind of day that you really should be just out riding and enjoying yourself. I can't stay here long when I drop the bike off because I've got to go to work. Actually, Lillian's picking me up after 9 o'clock, so it may be that I got a few minutes just to show you around. I can hear pops and bangs coming. I'm sure I've got some issue with my, well, not an issue, but it's just fuel and air mix is not quite right after I've fiddled with the carbs. That's the way, isn't it? You go fiddling with your bike and something's not quite right afterwards. But no, it rides beautifully, but it's just popping and banging a little bit more than it usually would. Let me know what you think that is. My assumption is that it's fuel and air mix. That's what I'm thinking. Anywhere here? There now, okay. Look at that old Sportster there, that's a beauty, isn't it? Well, that's gotta give you arthritis.
Yes, low back.
He's finished getting his MOT and it has passed. Front brake a little bit squeegee because it needs some new brake pads. That's an advisory, so I'm gonna get that done, or I'm gonna do that myself. So I'm gonna go and pick that up now, and we're gonna check out the cafe up at Victor Motorcycles. Monitor and repair if necessary. Brake pads close to minimum limit on the front. Other than that is everything. So they think there might be a little bit of an oil leak down into one of the valves, which is causing a bit of a smoky exhaust, but said it will carry on going like that forever. But if you want to do it, then kind of do it yourself, because booking that in, kind of a top-down You don't, it's not a bottom up engine rebuild, but it's kind of a top down. You've got to real dig into that quite a bit, and it's a lot of man hours. Potentially something that I might do, because I love the idea of pulling it all apart, but to do that I have to have a second bike that I can ride around on. But it's not essential, it doesn't have to be done, but I might do it. It doesn't make financial sense to send it into a shop to get it done. The bike's done 41,000 miles, so it doesn't make sense financially to put in a bike and spend £1,000 on getting the engine completely stripped down and put back together. But because I love learning this stuff, I might well do it myself and do a kind of a full kind of engine refurb and rebuild at some point. I could just buy another engine and drop it in there, but there's nothing really wrong with this one. It's running just fine. But if you want it to run perfectly, kind of with everything just kind of, then it needs to be done. Am I fussed about that? Maybe not. It runs. It's happy. Smoky a little bit on startup until it burns it off. But this is a great place. I highly recommend just coming for a coffee, because you can just come up here on a Saturday and grab a coffee. And I live just around the corner, so just give me a buzz. Come round and meet you for a coffee and a packet of crisps. They don't have cakes here yet. That's probably going to happen. So I also got to find out why it's called Victor Motorcycles, and it's nothing to do with the fact that somebody is called Victor. I thought it was, but it isn't. It's because it was on Victor Road, which is another 2 roads down from here originally, but then they moved to this place, and this has been going for 65 years. That's impressive. There's not many companies that are 65 years old anymore, and they've possibly got one of the oldest MOT bays in the country. So it turns out Rosie and Sean that run the place here, they met each other when Rosie came in about 5 years ago to get her MOT done on her motorcycle. I asked them if they wanted to do an interview, and they're like, no, don't think so, which is a shame. I'll keep working on them, see if they're up for it, because they're really nice. You feel very looked after when you come here. And now they've got this little coffee shop upstairs. Perfect. You could book yourself for an MOT, come up here, drink loads of coffee, buy their t-shirts, and then you've had a good day out. That's a good day out. Sitting in a motorbike workshop drinking coffee, listening to motorcycles in the background, people getting their motorbikes fixed. This is like the dream place. I actually offered to come and work here for free. They said yes, but I'm not sure if they meant it. So, and I would come here. I would like give half a day a week or something just to come and just be around motorcycles and spanner on stuff and fill oil and things like that. But I'm guessing you wouldn't want to bring your motorcycle here if you know someone like me is here going to be fiddling around with it. Good point, good point. I've got my t-shirt, this one. Very pleased with that. Eventually, I'm going to probably have all of their merchandise. It's good to support small, independent businesses. Buying their merch and their coffee helps them to keep going, and you kind of want companies like this and businesses like this to stay afloat, do well, so they're here next year. Because otherwise, it just becomes like, you go to these places where it's a little bit clinical. You don't see much stuff like this anymore. You don't see many workshops like this anymore. Doing things in a bit of an old school kind of way. I really like it. I really like it. So tomorrow should be an interesting one, because I've been in touch with Fowler's and they're letting me borrow one of the new Honda GB350 S's. I've had my eye on one of these bikes for ages, because I've not really thought too much about smaller engine bikes like 250s and 350s, but this new Honda came along, which is like a real nod back to the retro style. And I've been thinking about smaller bikes purely because, like, you ride a 900cc around town, you never get up into third gear really. It's a heavy bike to maneuver. Now, I'm not thinking of buying one of these straight away, but I would like to try one out to see what it feels like around town and in kind of urban areas. And also take it a bit of a spin outside of town as well and see how it handles kind of on the open road. You've got the Royal Enfield 350s, you've got their 400s as well. And just the difference in weight between like a 900cc, 750cc or whatever, and a 350 is going to be massive. Looking forward to that. So I'm going to give that a try tomorrow. And obviously I'm going to be filming all of that, and I'll put that up on the channel so you can take a look. They just look absolutely awesome. Straight out of factory, they look absolutely awesome. And they got something with the clutch as well, apparently. It's a much lighter clutch, so some kind of assisted clutch or something like that. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. That's going to be fun. and something really new for me, because I haven't ridden a smaller bike since kind of 125 days, and that was a long time ago. Right, I'm gonna hit the road. Alrighty. Ready to go home. I might take a little spin first, because why not? That's what you're supposed to do when you got the bike out. You're going to stall, aren't you? I knew you were going to do that. I tell you what has happened. When I had that thing where the bike wouldn't start at all, and it turned out that it was all these cables behind here. When I took the headlamp off to check out all the cables and just to make sure the terminations were good and clean up the contactors and stuff like that, when I cleaned it all up, all the other lights on the dashboard that hadn't been working before suddenly started working again. So clearly I've had a little bit of a I think it was probably some water ingress or moisture ingress or something like that got in there and wreaked a little bit of havoc, as it does. So this is the area behind the M shed here. We've got a place called Wapping Wharf, and they're basically just kind of shipping containers that are being converted into like little restaurants and little shops and whatnot. A very good fish and chip place right here, Salt and Malt. Everyone loves it. I love it, but I love fish and chips. Even bad fish and chips are good fish and chips. In there you got like 900 different beers you can try out. Now that helicopter up on the top there, it came with the boat apparently, and it used to obviously be in use, but not anymore. I think the blades have been clipped or something, so it can't be used anymore. It just seems such a shame, doesn't it, to have a helicopter that doesn't get used anymore. And here we are, Bristol harbour side. Even a little ride is better than no ride, isn't it? Just a tiny little ride out, pick up your bike from the MOT, give it a little spin around town. Totally worth it. So, until tomorrow.